Technological development is currently in an exceptional phase of growth, and it is predicted that it will continue with this speed for a long time to come. What is today considered normal was a few decades ago completely impossible to even think about. When my grandmother was born, the television had barely appeared in everyday households, and when I was born, mobile phones were something that only existed in sci-fi movies. And we do not yet know how the new technology will affect our existence in the long run. So far, most people would be strongly opposed to surgically insert a chip under the skin. As far as I know, I don't know anyone who has undergone such a thing, at least not yet. However, I have heard of people who has, one of whom I have recently been in contact with via email. People still find it both strange, and perhaps even a little scary, to even consider the idea of placing a chip underneath the skin of, say, one's wrist, to quickly and easily blip and scan everything from their credit cards to subway tickets, and the arguments against this are also, so far, more negative than positive. But things change, just like everything else. 20 years ago, some things that we do today were unthinkable, or just 10 years ago. So how will things look 10 or 20 years ahead? In 10 years, there will certainly be more people in favor of having a chip implanted under the skin than those against it. The possibilities and benefits as well. The same people who actively worked for removing physical money, cash, from the market, to get digital numbers an upswing, and get the population to use online purchases and transfers, are the same people who makes it popular for others to buy electric cars, so in the near future they will surely make it popular to easy and painlessly place a chip under the skin of your wrist. Or even implant one in your brain. This is happening right now, as we speak. The future is here, because the first tests will take place late 2022, early 2023. Who knows how quickly things will elevate once this is accepted in our society, just like electric cars and smartphones. Most people believe that it would be unnatural for us humans to have a chip implanted into our bodies. That we are a natural being, a species that should not have anything technical, digital or mechanical inside of us to function. That this would be the beginning of the end for what we know as Homo sapiens. That there will be far too much tinkering and playing God. But if the truth be told, we are more or less already chipped and have been so for the last 10 years. Because just as I just mentioned, we are now constantly connected and online through our smartphone and smartwatches. 24/7, wherever and whenever. The lightweight gadget you carry around constantly knows more about you than your own mother. Because when you think about it, you do most of your life through this gadget, don't you? You use it as an alarm clock, bank, calendar, newspaper, TV and radio. You keep in touch with family and friends, check the weather, book trips, order tickets, and look up information and facts. All with the help of a single small tap with your finger. Your smartphone knows exactly where you are every waking minute. It has learned your everyday patterns, your interests, your habits, both good and bad. You have become so addicted to it that you would surely panic if you dropped it in water or on hard concrete. What if it breaks? All the pictures, all the info, all the contacts, and the money. How are you going to access your precious money? We think it's weird and scary that some individuals around the world soon will have a chip brain implant, as some sort of guinea pigs for the next step in human digital evolution, while we ourselves might as well just glue our smartphones to our hand as much as we use it. No, but there is a difference, you're probably thinking. But is it really though? How long can you really get by without your smartphone? With a chip implanted, at least you don't have to stress about not knowing where you have your precious all the time, or be afraid of losing it or breaking it. We are in the midst of an age of change. Just as we were in the midst of the age of change 100 years ago, and also 500 years ago, and so will be in another 10, 50 and 100 years to come. The time for change is now, it is always now. Man is, and will always, develop and change things, even himself. At the same time, human beings have always found change to be a bit scary and difficult. With tentative steps we approach what lies around the corner, hidden, but as soon as we get into it, we go full speed ahead. We go with the flow, go with the crowd. Gather in groups and want to join in, belong. We want to be a part of something bigger, a community. So you will soon nod in agreement and think to yourself that maybe this isn't so weird and scary after all. Everyone else does it, so why shouldn't I? It is this recurring human behavior that makes me know that within 10 years, most of the modern Western population will surely have a chip implant to make everyday life more efficient and easy, and the ones I control will make more and more fancy possibilities come with it. And also, because everyone else will have it. The normalization process has already started. For example, from where are you watching this video? Through your smartphone. Thought so. An upgrade from smartphones will soon take place, and a gap between cyborgs and old-school Homo sapiens will be created. Just like the gaps between rich and poor. Between the sleeping flock of sheep and the tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorists. It is easy for you to say today that you will not take part in this development. That you, out of your own free will, would agree to getting a chip implant and integrate into the digital world. In the same way that many reject the technology and development that has taken place since the internet made an entrance into all everyday households, we have peeked around the corner and sniffed curiously while frowning at what has happened. But at the end of the day, we are still there in their sandbox, playing with their toys and wanting to be a part of the crowd. The digital world as we know it today, has such a central role in our lives that we can't even live without it, and none of us even know how we got here. Because that's how development happens. It happens constantly, all the time. The time for change is here and now. And we don't even know we're in it. Just look at video games from the late 80s, versus how they look today. Many of us have probably played Nintendo, and jumped around a black and white screen with Mario and Luigi. Several have also tried wearing a VR set and experienced that surreal feeling of wow, this really is the futuristic stuff I dreamt of growing up. So if in just 30 years, we've gone from black and white Nintendo to VR that's so realistic you can't tell the difference between that world and the real one, then think about what it's going to look like in another 30 years. And also consider that many experts already today agree on, that it is more likely that we are actually, according to mathematical calculations and probability theories, actually living in a virtual reality rather than in an earthly reality. In the near future, human beings will have the opportunity to upgrade themselves, and we will also be able to stimulate our senses in an artificial way, so that we can experience taste, smell, and even touch, in the digitally created VR worlds. It's already possible to make virtual money in a virtual world, which means you don't have to have a job or work in the physical world anymore, and get by just fine, sometimes even better than in the real world. Think about how quickly things will change if you start experiencing your senses in a virtual world you create for yourself. A bit like playing The Sims, but you are in there, in the middle of it all, living your best life in a reality you created. Who would leave such a place just to go back to the boring and monotonous 9-to-5 life that the gray worldly reality has to offer? Furthermore, it is said at the same time that, despite everything, humans thrive by living as close to nature as possible, living in symbiosis with Mother Earth, the circle of life, seasons, and getting sunlight, fresh air and physical activity. At the same time, there are lots of theories that we may have been created by a higher intelligence that must have lived in high-tech societies, both here on Earth and in other places elsewhere. These theories mention everything from genetic manipulation to energy harvesting, and fairy tale-like buildings created using sound frequency and advanced technology. Is this perhaps why we are so fascinated by digital technology, AI, and virtual realities? Is it perhaps actually more natural for us to live with technology, rather than without? Are we about to find the true nature of humanity? Because what is actually natural for us, since we do not belong to anything natural here on Earth, like other animals? Personally, I'm not sure where I stand in all of this just yet. Is upgrading human beings with chip implant the right thing to do? What outcomes will it have? I don't know the answer, neither do you. None of us know. However, I have promised myself to welcome the digital and technological development regardless of where it may take us. And I will keep that promise. At the same time, I realize every day that it is becoming more and more important for me to get out into the physical world as much as possible, and leave my smartphone at home while I still can.